have emotions and think about things. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
Hi, welcome to Emotional and Mental Justice. I'm Yuna and welcome to my podcast. So I'm here today to talk to you about developing emotional intelligence. I love emotional intelligence. It just takes us a long way. So what is emotional intelligence? It refers to the ability to recognize, to understand and to manage your own emotions in such a way that you are enabled to combat stress, to diffuse conflict, to communicate effectively and to make informed decisions. Emotional intelligence also can enable you to connect with your feelings as well as the feelings of others. Now, emotional intelligence is defined by 4 components. I was going to say ingredients there. These are self-awareness, self-management, social awareness, and relationship management. So this is all about yourself and about yourself with others. I think self-awareness should be at the top of that list because for me, once I'm self-aware, the rest just naturally begins to fall into place. So let's discuss point number 1, self-awareness. And bear in mind, this self-awareness is in relation to emotional intelligence. So it's about our feelings and our thoughts and just how we feel. So emotional intelligence, it can sometimes be difficult to understand why we're feeling something, especially when we think or believe that it's not the right thing to feel or that we shouldn't be feeling it. And I think that most, if not all of us in life, seek to feel pleasure and to avoid pain. Trying to avoid pain is one of the things that consumes us the most. But it's important to acknowledge that we cannot avoid a feeling merely by trying to resist it. Emotions are part of life, and we can only tackle these emotions by accepting them and by dealing with them. And it's important to recognize that it's okay to feel pain, it's okay to feel shame or to feel discomfort or fear or worry, and it's okay to feel angry or agitated or to feel different to the rest. When we try to suppress our emotions, we are actually sending the wrong signal to our mind, our body and our soul. We're fighting to hold back our natural responses to things, and sometimes this might throw our bodies off and we start to overcompensate in many ways, and we cheat ourselves into starting to believe something that actually is inaccurate. It's like brushing things under the carpet. The dust will come up. So I think it's important to, rather than suppress those feelings, is to try and pinpoint exactly what you feel, and then to pinpoint why you may feel this, and to get to the root of the cause. And whilst doing this, it's beneficial to the whole to not judge yourself, but to enter into this search with a want to merely understand. And once understanding has been achieved, you can give yourself a clap, my friend. You are officially self-aware. It then becomes about managing those feelings and making informed decisions about what you want to do with them. And I think only then are you truly in a powerful position. Now moving on to point number 2, self-management. Now that you have obtained all this newfound knowledge of your emotions, you can start to use that knowledge to make informed and constructive decisions about your actions, your attitude and your behavior. For example, when you're stressed out and your anxiety levels are through the roof, the possibility of losing self-control and the possibility of losing control of your emotions is higher, and you can easily start to act a fool and fail to act with thoughtfulness and consideration. This rise of stress and anxiety levels happened to me recently, whereby everything that day was just a stress factor for me. It was just one of those days. So I was in a room full of people in a small intimate setting, and bear in mind my anxiety levels were already through the roof, and it was all just because of all the day's ongoings. Now the best way I know how to explain my feelings, I guess, in that room is to give an example. It's like when you're at school, and I don't know if this example will do it justice, but it's like when you're at school, and I'm talking about adult school, and you've had a long and trying day, and the lecturer says, "We have come to the end of the day. Does anyone have any last questions before we depart?" And then a hand goes up. "Go ahead." And the question is, "Sir, my pencil broke. Do I sharpen it now or at the beginning of the next lesson?" And you genuinely don't know if they're being serious or not. But the bottom line is that they're holding you back. And on top of that, that was the caliber of questions throughout that lecture. Now, the reason I put that example in the section of self-management is because of the way that I personally dealt with it. I could feel my body changing and my blood pressure rising. I was becoming overwhelmed with stress, and my ability to think clearly and act appropriately was becoming compromised. I was about to just scream, "Shut the up!" and walk out. And I know that if I did that, it would have just been me trying to gain back my self-control, but in the wrong way. But because I'm self-aware, I was able to recognize all of these emotions, and that self-awareness that I had afforded me the ability to manage my stress. I was able to receive and endure this upsetting situation without letting it override my thoughts and my self-control. I was able to make choices that allowed me to control that impulsive behavior that I was about to display, and I was able to internally adapt to surviving in that difficult circumstance. And that saved me from those dreaded next day apologies that would have followed on from my behavior. But I must acknowledge that we are only human, and sometimes we do act in ways that we don't necessarily want to, and that's okay. What matters is how we come through that and what we learn from it. So, moving on. Point number 3, social awareness. This is about looking outside of yourself, learning about others and learning how to appreciate them. It's about being able to not only recognize but to empathize with others' feelings, building an acceptance of difference and diversity, and also exercising that empathy within you, being able to acknowledge that whilst other people are different to you and may not respond or react to situations in the same way that you would, it is because their emotional and mental profile may differ from yours. And having such a level of awareness of people's differences in society or in the workplace or in a family setting or wherever else, because it applies to everything everywhere. It applies to life. So having such a high level of awareness enables you to be more open-minded and less judgmental. And actually, I find that for me, it puts me at ease, and it makes me know that there doesn't have to be a comparison, because actually we're all uniquely created. And this flows nicely into my next and final component, which is relationship management. All of the things that I've discussed so far greatly assist in the development and maintenance of good relationships, of team working, and of the management of conflict, and lead to great leadership skills. Interpersonal communication is something that I love. It's just a great thing, I think. It's a great skill, a great tool to have. Interpersonal communication, this plays a big part in managing relationships and being able to communicate well with somebody. And through such communication, you can learn what makes people nervous, what gives them confidence, what helps them achieve, what changes their attitudes, what their characters are, what else? There's so much more. And I think it applies to so many things, how they are in smaller or larger groups. And I think having at least tried to understand another person's thoughts and feelings enables you to get the best out of them. You may find that they want to talk to you because they know that you are approachable and will try your best not to judge them, but to empathize with them and try to achieve the best outcome for them. And by doing this, you're able to inspire and grow people and help them succeed in their conflict. And you're able to build real trusting friendships and relationships, which is a very important thing in this whole thing that we are discussing today. And yeah, that's all I have for you. So 4 simple steps. What have I learned today here? I always learn something from myself. So today, what I've learned is that combining emotional and mental intelligence actually makes magic. And this whole emotional intelligence thing is much like the Batari's box. If you don't know what the Batari's box is, look it up. It's just a simple box that acts like a cycle, and it goes like this. My attitude affects my behavior, which affects your attitude, which affects your behavior, and it just goes round like that. Batari's box, Betari box. Thank you for listening. Yes, I am clapping for myself.
You'll have emotions and think about things. Let's talk about